and then I've been told that he's in the house. So we're going to go to having him on our virtual stage at this point, Mr. Siati Charles Kormoh. I'm hoping I did not murder that name. I'm so sorry if I did, but he's an analyst at the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change in Sierra Leone. You're welcome, sir. So, Uyi, are you doing the honors?
All right. Once again, thank you, Agnes. It's my pleasure to introduce to us our keynote speaker this morning, Mr. Siati Charles, please pardon, Kormoh. All right. Mr. Siati is a social development professional with diverse experience in agriculture, legal administration, and project management. He has a comprehensive understanding on Africa's political and economic landscape and culture, legal framework, and international SDGs, especially in Sierra Leone, his home country. He has experience in high-level international engagement, adept at research and analysis. He is committed to advancing food security and entrepreneurship. He's a co-founder of Green Entrepreneurs Limited, which collaborates with farmers cooperative in Sierra Leone to export local produce. He also serves as a technical assistant to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in Sierra Leone, forging his dedication to public service and agricultural development. I present to us this morning Mr. Siati Charles Kormoh. Good morning, sir. The floor is over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. What he might not have added is that I'm also a part of the 2024 cohort of the Aliwa Youth Leadership Program, by virtue of which I'm here today. It's both an honor and a pleasure to speak to you on the rather profound topic of Saving Africa, Handouts or Handshake, the role of NGOs in African development. So many reasons I'm happy to be a part of this event. It offers a platform to share insights and foster discussions among young Africans who are passionate about the future of our continent. Events like these embody the spirit of Pan-Africanism, bringing together diverse voices and ideas to tackle the changes we face. It's through such dialogues that we can inspire the next generation of leaders, innovators, and change makers in our continent. So let's get into it. To truly appreciate the current landscape of NGO involvement in Africa, we must first delve into the historical context and evolution of these organizations. The story of NGOs in Africa is the tale of resilience, adaptation, and the relentless pursuit of betterment for the people. In the early days, during the colonial period, formal NGOs were virtually non-existent. Instead, communities relied on traditional structures and mutual aid systems to address social issues. However, with the advent of colonialism, this dynamic shifted dramatically. Colonial administrators often neglected the social needs of the indigenous populations. Instead, they mostly focused on exploiting resources and maintaining control. It was within this context that missionary organizations emerged as early non-governmental actors, providing education, healthcare, and other social services. These missions laid the groundwork for what would be a more structured NGO presence. Yet it wasn't until post-independence era in Africa that NGOs began to flourish significantly. By post-independence era, I'm referring to the period following the decolonization of African countries, which generally took place from the late 1950s to the 1970s. During the 1970s and 1980s, Africa faced severe economic crisis characterized by high inflation, soaring debt, and collapsing infrastructure. Governments struggled under these burdens and couldn't meet the basic needs of their population. It was during this period that NGOs stepped in to fill the void. Organizations like Oxfam and the Red Cross became household names, delivering much needed relief and development aid across the continent. Take Ethiopia, for example. During the 1984 famine, international NGOs played an important role in delivering food and medical aid, saving countless of lives. This intervention was crucial, yet it also highlighted a critical issue: dependency on foreign aid. While NGOs, yes, provided immediate relief and all of that, the long-term sustainability of such interventions was questionable. The Rwanda genocide in 1994 further underscored the importance of NGOs. Organizations like the Médecins Sans Frontières, which translates to Doctors Without Borders, were on the front lines providing medical care amidst the chaos. Their work was indispensable, yet it also raised ethical questions about the role of NGOs in conflict zones and their ability to operate independently in politically charged environments. Fast forward to the new millennium, we see NGOs continuing to evolve. The end of the Cold War brought new challenges and opportunities. The global push towards neoliberal policies saw a reduction in state interventions and an increase in the role of private actors, including NGOs. This shift was epitomized by the structural adjustment programs of the 1980s and the 1990s, which, while they intended to stabilize economies, often resulted into reduced public spending on social services. NGOs were called to bridge this gap. However, this story doesn't end there. The modern landscape of NGO involvement in Africa is complex and multifaceted. While traditional aid models have provided critical support, they've also faced criticisms for fostering dependency and undermining local governance structures. Today, as we know it, NGOs are an indelible part of Africa's development architecture. They operate in diverse fields from healthcare to education to human rights and environmental protection. However, the question we ponder here today still remains: are they delivering handouts, or are they fostering genuine partnerships for sustainable development? Traditional aid models have had mixed results. On one hand, they've provided critical relief in times of crisis, supported health and education initiatives, and they've advocated for human rights and good governance. On the other hand, these models have often been criticized for fostering dependency, undermining local institutions, and failing to addressing the root causes of poverty. One of the main criticisms of the traditional aid is that it often comes with string attached, as I believe as one of the previous welcoming statements mentioned. Sometimes it comes with strings attached, reflecting the priorities of donors rather than the needs of the communities. This had sometimes led to a mismatch between aid efforts and local development goals, resulting into projects that are unsustainable or irrelevant to the community needs. For example, the Millennium Villages project, initiated in 2005 by the economist Jeffrey Sachs, aimed to demonstrate that integrated community-led development could lift villages out of poverty. So while it did achieve some success, such as improving health outcomes and agricultural productivity, it also faced criticisms for a top-down approach and the reliance on external funding, which raised questions about sustainability and scalability. To move beyond handouts, NGOs must focus on building long-term equitable partnerships. This would mean engaging deeply with local communities, understanding their needs, and working collaboratively to develop sustainable solutions. Effective partnerships are based on mutual respect, trust, and a shared vision for development. The concept of handshakes rather than handouts encapsulates this approach. It emphasizes the importance of collaboration, capacity building, and empowerment. When NGOs work alongside local governments, private sector partners, and community organizations, they can leverage each other's strengths and resources to achieve greater impact. Let me bring this discussion closer to home, my country, Sierra Leone. As mentioned by the person that introduced me, thank you very much. I do work at the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And in our journey to enhance agricultural productivity and ensure food security, we've seen the crucial role that NGOs can play. The Feed Salon program, which I'm very proud to be a part of. Salon is a short form of Sierra Leone, just like when you say Niger for Nigeria. It's kind of like a colloquial thing. The Feed Salon program is a flagship initiative aimed at transforming our agricultural sector. This program focuses on increasing local agricultural production, reducing reliance on food imports, and creating jobs for our people. In Sierra Leone, the NGOs in our space have been very instrumental in different facets of this program. While the government, of course, always wants to do a lot, government doesn't have all the resources, unfortunately for us. However, we do want to achieve very lofty and ambitious targets that we have set. Collaborating with the partners, international partners and NGO is it's essential. At the inception, I would remember this very well. It's actually one of the highlights of the planning of the Feed Salon. At the inception of the program, our minister convened all the NGOs in Sierra Leone working in the agriculture space with an agriculture focus. And at the meeting, the hall was full, jam-packed. Not even all of them could sit down, and the hall was actually big. And the minister requested for them to disclose their budget allocations for agricultural support in 2024. The collective funding of all these NGOs was so substantial that it far exceeded the ministry's own budget for 2024. So this collaboration with them has enabled us to leverage additional resources and expertise, significantly amplifying our impact. However, it's important also to acknowledge the challenges. The 2014 Ebola outbreak in West Africa, including Sierra Leone, which faced it in a very big way, I was here, highlighted both of the strengths and weaknesses of NGO interventions. Organizations like Doctors Without Borders and the Red Cross were at the forefront of this battle of the response, providing critical healthcare services and helping to contain the outbreak. Yet, the crisis also exposed gaps in coordination and need for a stronger healthcare system. To build on these experiences, we must emphasize capacity building and local ownership. NGOs should not merely deliver services, but should empower local institutions and communities to take charge of their own development. This approach is reflected in our Feed Salon strategy, where we are working to expand extension services, improve seed and input systems, and leverage agricultural technologies. The goal we have is to build resilience and ensure that our farmers have the skills and resources they need to thrive. So looking ahead at emerging trends and future directions, several emerging trends will shape the future of NGOs in Africa. The integration of technology and innovation is revolutionizing how NGOs operate. Digital tools can enhance transparency, improve monitoring and evaluation, and facilitate better communication with our stakeholders. Mobile technology, in particular, offers new opportunities for reaching remote communities and delivering services efficiently. Moreover, there is a growing recognition that development must be locally led. This means investing in local capacity, supporting local NGOs, and ensuring that development initiatives are driven by those that are closest to the issues. In Sierra Leone, we have seen the benefits of this approach through initiatives like the Chiefdom Youth Farm Project, which aims to create employment for 10,000 youths by cultivating 8,000 hectares of rice. This project, driven by local leadership and supported by NGOs, is an example of how we can create sustainable, locally owned development. Another key trend is the increasing role of partnerships with the private sector. The private sector has a critical role to play in development. NGOs can partner with businesses to leverage their expertise, resources, and innovation. These partnerships can create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and drive sustainable development. Furthermore, NGOs must continue to advocate for policies that promote social justice, equities, and sustainable development. By engaging in policy dialogue and working with governments, NGOs can help to create an enabling environment for development. So just to run across some examples of successes that NGOs have done in Africa, One notable case that I want to highlight to you is the Green Belt movement in Kenya, founded by the late Professor Laureate Wangari Maathai in 1977 under the auspices of the National Council for Women of Kenya. So this was done to respond to the needs of rural Kenyan women who reported that their streams were drying up, their food supply was less secure, and they had to walk further and further to get firewood for fuel and fencing. This organization encouraged the women to work together to sow seedlings and plant trees to bind the soil, store rainwater, and provide food and firewood. And they received monetary tokens for their work. This movement's impacts have been profound, not only in terms of reforestation, but also in fostering a sense of community ownership and environmental stewardship. In Uganda, the NGO BRAC has made significant strides in improving health, education, and economic opportunities for the poor. Their integrated approach, which combines microfinance, education, healthcare, and agriculture, has helped to lift many millions out of poverty. So we can see that BRAC's success lies in its ability to adapt its programs to the local context and empower communities to take charge of their own development. So some of these examples that I'm highlighting, they show the potential of NGOs to drive sustainable development when they adopt a community-centered approach. That is the important thing here, a community-centered approach. It is crucial to recognize that the impact of NGO, however, is not uniform. There are various factors: context, the nature of interventions, and the level of community involvement. In my role as the technical assistant to the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security in Sierra Leone, one fortunate thing that links me quite a lot with this topic is that I do get to engage a lot with several international partners in the space and NGOs that operate in the sector. One thing that I've learned with this experience is that sustainable development requires collaborative efforts. The challenges we face in agriculture are multifaceted, ranging from low productivity and post-harvest losses to climate vulnerabilities and inadequate infrastructure. Addressing these challenges require a holistic approach that leverages the strengths of all the stakeholders in the space. By working together, we can harness collective potential of governments, partners, NGOs, the private sector, and most importantly, the communities to build a better future for all Africans. To wrap up my keynote, thank you all for being with me so far. The role of NGOs in African development is evolving. While traditional aid models have their place, the future lies in building genuine partnerships that empower local communities and promote sustainable development. It is about how we can combine the best elements of both to create a more just and prosperous Africa. As we move forward with the discussions and the ensuing debates that would be heard here today, let us remember that development is not something that can be done to people or for people. It must be done with people. I will say that again. Development is not something that can be done to people or for people. It must be done with people. Thank you all for your attention. I look forward to the ensuing discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. That was very, in fact, that was deep. And for someone who works as a social entrepreneur, I was just hearing things like partnerships, because I was really taking notes. I was taking notes of these things: partnerships, collaborations, stakeholders. And again, thank you so much for taking us back history lane, mentioning how NGOs even came to be, and all that. And I like when you mentioned community-centered approach. So, and of course, the last thing you just said about and development cannot be done to people or for people, but what? With people. Thank you so much, sir. So we're going to be taking